What's it like to be a Manchester United player? These are the questions that we fans have always asked. If you are a footballer, you have a dream. How would it be to play under Sir Alex Ferguson? Play or train with Roy Keane, Is He Really Mean? And Paul Scholes and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and all these legends. Well, we have a very good surprise for you. Stick around because in this video we are talking to the one and only Phil Marsh that played and trained with Manchester United back in the 2006-2008 season. Please enjoy this video and don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. It's showtime.
My main question is, and again, this is, if you want to answer it, please do. But I want to take you back to Royal Antwerp, and I want to take you back to that Mullenstein conversation. What would you do today differently? And I guess I'm leaning towards, would you have hopped on the ferry and gone to Antwerp? Would you think that might have enhanced your career? And the other question is, which I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000,001 times, but I'm going to do it anyway. Have you had the hairdryer treatment from the gaffer?
Yes.
Okay. Or have you witnessed it?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, I think from a selfish point of view, I think obviously if that conversation would have happened again today, I probably would have liked to have gone and experienced playing in a different country. But to be honest, I actually did experience, which was a fantastic opportunity for me. And Richie, we both actually went over to play in Bayer Leverkusen for 3 months. So not everyone knows this, but when I was, I think I must have been about 17. I think it was in my first year actually that I'd gone and I was full time. I actually went over to Bayer Leverkusen for 3 months. Myself and Richie went over and did like a bit of an exchange. So 2 of the Bayer Leverkusen players came over to United and trained with the reserves, and myself and Richie went over and trained with Bayer Leverkusen's reserves for 3 months. So that for me, actually going out there and experience a different culture and sort of training with, obviously a sort of, at the time, Bayer Leverkusen was probably one of the better teams. Germany. So for us, it was that experience at such a young age to go and experience that was unbelievable. But yeah, to touch back onto your question, I think the Royal Antwerp one, I would have definitely liked to have gone over there and sort of had a chance to sort of experience that, and as you say, that probably and hopefully would have given me a bit more of a platform to come back and sort of maybe kick on, or put your name in the shop window maybe a little bit more in a different light. But obviously, at the time, I had a really good relationship with Rennie Mullenstein, and he was somebody who I really valued as a coach, and he'd put a lot of faith in me, and I just felt as though he'd give me that opportunity, and he'd ask me because he believed in me, and he wanted me to do a job for the team, and I was a team player. I was happy to play any position. As long as I was playing and as long as I was representing the club, I was happy to, chuck a shirt on and put a shift in and do the best I could. So I think, obviously, I can sort of talk that coin, but I think from a selfish point of view, I would have maybe liked to have gone out there and tested myself in sort of Antwerp. Sure. And then the second question, so I've never really had a hairdryer treatment that's been just aimed directly at myself. I've never really done anything where I've stepped out of line or I've done something really stupid. Collectively, I don't know if you're aware, but we used to occasionally we would go out in Manchester during the week, or we'd go for a few drinks maybe after a game, and at this point, we was sort of a little bit naive and unaware that, Sir Alex and some of the coaching staff had spies that was, knocking around in man. So myself and a few of the other lads had been spotted out, and he called us into the office the morning after and basically gave us, in terms of a hairdryer, it wasn't really a hairdryer. It was just a little bit of a kick up the backside again, and just to give us a little bit of a warning to say, you're representing the club, you don't want to get into bad habits and sort of all this kind of thing. So that was basically the only time I've ever sort of had, a bit of a grilling. But as I said, it wasn't directed at me personally. It was a bit of a group thing because we'd all been out and he just wanted to keep us sort of on the straight and narrow. However, I have seen a very, very big, hairdryer from. So when I made my debut before the game, calmest man on the planet. He was just like, go out there, enjoy it. You're here on merit, express yourself, just win the game. That was basically the team talk. And then he just walked out of the changing room, and I was like, right, okay. So got myself changed, got the kit on, unbelievable because it's my first experience of being involved, and all the kits are hung up, and you can hear all the United fans singing out the tunnel. And then when we came back in at half time, to be honest, I think at half time we hadn't played that bad, but I think we just conceded before half time. I think Wes Brown had made a bit of I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think Wes Brown had made a little bit of a mistake and Crew had equalised just sort of not long before half time. So as we came in, I was thinking we were doing really well then, and we was 1-0 up, and obviously, cruising, and then they've just scored. But he absolutely ripped into Wes Brown. I'm to be honest, I felt a bit sorry for Wes because I didn't think he played that bad, but I just think he'd made a bad mistake, or he'd done. I can't actually remember what he'd done. He must have done something anyway, and the gaffers just absolutely tore into him, and he was saying, taking the piss, and some of these younger lads are embarrassing you and your attitude, and I was just like, wow, God, that's not me. But yeah, to be honest, to be honest, I think that the hairdryer sort of statement about Sir Alex is maybe a little bit unfair because I don't think there was that many occasions. I mean, there probably was, but there's probably a lot more thought about him, giving out a lot of rollickings and being quite aggressive and stuff. But really, the majority of the time, and obviously I worked, and I was in there full time for sort of 4 or 5 years, and he was always usually, quite calm, very forward coming, would always have a conversation with you, he's very polite and would always sort of acknowledge you in the hallways or in the canteen. So again, I think he was just a natural leader, and he was a winner. And I think because of the amount of respect that he had from all the players, I think he only ever sort of got to a point where he had to maybe say something aggressively or the hairdryer type thing if he wasn't pulling the weight or wasn't sort of hitting the standards the club was used to. And I think that was, the players, to be honest. I mean, and you hear a lot of them say it now today. I think that the manager really didn't have to say that much in his time in charge of the club at that point because all the players were so driven. They all had they knew what it was to play for the club. They all had the mentality of, the winning mentality. They wanted to win title after title. It wasn't as though, you win a trophy and then we settle at that. It was like, right, the next one. And I think that was what the group had sort of, got to that stage over a period of time. And Sir Alex was just there to sort of reinforce that in the background.
Do you think Rashford would have survived a hairdryer treatment for the tequila lash in Belfast?
I don't know. I think, to be honest, a lot of these players in the modern era would. I think Sir Alex would probably struggle with, keeping them contained and on a leash because I think the game's changed so much now, and the amount of power the players have got. It's so difficult for managers and people to sort of, keep them on the straight and narrow because there's that much going on in social media, and it's a lot more difficult nowadays. I think obviously back when I was at the club, and as you said, there wasn't that much in terms of social media. Everything that would, if there was ever any incidents or anything that, the club wasn't happy with, it would all get dealt with in-house. Nothing would leaked out into the press, or very rarely it would anyway. And the players and the manager would make sure that, it was all dealt with properly, and that that was the end of it. It was sort of dealt with really quickly, nipped in the bud, and then you would move on. And I think the players were big enough and sort of, you know, capable of accepting that punishment, whatever it may be, or just being able to move on quite quickly. Whereas I think nowadays, a lot of these players, you know, it's lingering on for weeks and it's all in the media and it gets a bit messy and it's just it's not ideal. And it's I feel sorry for, you know, in that respect. I think he's had a lot of stuff to deal with in his short time at the club, and obviously, you know, he wants to be concentrating on the football, and he's had to deal with so much stuff that's, you know, not real.
One final question from my side, but guys, if you're watching, please don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Brilliant to hear from you, Phil. One question, Roy Keane. I'm dying to hear it, because like you spent in the locker room, you've been on training with Roy Keane, like, you know, how is he like? Is he as scared what people are saying, or?
Yeah, so to be honest, when I first went in, I had the perception of Roy of being, you know, don't speak to him. He's really, you know, angry all the time. He's always on the younger cases, and that was the perception I had of him anyway. And I probably couldn't have been, you know, further from the truth with my own personal opinion and my own personal dealings with him. So in that first year, obviously, I didn't have that many interactions with him, but because obviously what happened, obviously with my car incident and him being the captain of the club, he was somebody who sort of, he came to visit me in hospital on the second night that I was in hospital. He just had a sit down with me, had a great chat, just, you know, told me about, you know, adversity that he'd been through, and that, you know, everything would be okay. He'd be there if I needed anything. So for me, for someone like him to sort of come in and show that amount of respect and, you know, take time out of his day, because it was obviously after training or whatever, to come and visit me, he didn't have to do that. It was amazing, and I thought, you know what, like, you can't, you know, argue with that. And then obviously when I got myself back to fitness, in and around the training ground, he would come over and have conversations. There was two incidents which stick with me about Roy Keane. The first one was he played in a reserve game. I think he was obviously coming back from injury or something, and we was playing in a reserve team game, and I had the ball on the right hand side, and Keane's inside, and he's just asking for a little ball inside to him, which, you know, the pass was on, it was there. I've instead took a touch out my feet, and I've sprayed a Hollywood ball.
Oh,
God. And to be fair, Stu, it was an absolute peach of a ball.
Oh, good.
Gone straight over the fullback's head, and we've gone in and we've got a cross, and it's gone out for a corner. And Keane has honestly, he looked at me and he absolutely gave me. I can't remember exactly what he said, because I just remember looking at him. And I just started running up the pitch. I was like, no, not having any of that. And he was shouting stuff to me, and I was thinking, I'm just going to have to pretend like I can't hear him, because he's like losing his mind. And it was like right before half time. So the corners come in and we've shot, and the referees blew up for half time. And as I'm walking in, he's still pointing at me and looking. So and he's gone, and then anyway, we've gone into the change room, and I said, "What's up, bro?" I said, "That ball, what a ball!" And he was, "No." And he sat me down and he said, "Listen," he said, he said, "Listen, if you get into the first team," he said, "and you start playing them Hollywood balls," he said, "and that ball gets cut out," he said, "we're all out the game, and the other team are at the other end, and, you know, it could be a goal." And I was thinking, what? So, and then and then he said to me, he said, "That little ball inside to me," and I switched the play. And he said it like that. He was dead calm, and I thought, right, okay. But then in my own head, I was still thinking, well, it was a great ball. We've got him. And so I forgot about it. And then anyway, I was still thinking about it like days after. But then I went and watched the first team on that Saturday, and I remember I can't remember who it was. Right winger's got the ball. He's took a touch out of his feet. Keane's inside, and instead of playing the Hollywood ball, he's played it into Keane. Keane's opened up, Scholes, bang, across, and he scored. And I remember going, right, that's what he's on about then. So that, and I was like, and then to be honest, I remember I actually came in the day after, and Keane was sat down on some breakfast, and I didn't very rarely did this, but I went and got some breakfast, and I went and sat next to him, and I just went, hey, I said, hey, Roy, I said, what about that goal on Saturday? And he was like, what? I said, Fingy's come inside, played to you, Scholes out, bang, goal. And he went, and he just looked at me and he didn't even say anything. He just sort of went, I'm not usually wrong, am I? And like, something like that. And I was like, well, and it was brilliant because it was just like, and that was great. And then the second story I've got, you might have heard this. So at the end of every month, we used to get paid with, used to pick up a wage slip from Kath on reception.
Oh,
so
Kath.
Everyone knows Kath, legend, and obviously, love Kath. Spoke to her last year when I went to Carrington, and she's still going strong. Absolutely amazing. Amazing person. So this particular day, I've come out the training ground. I'm dead happy. I'm just waiting to get my wage slip. I'm probably off to the Trafford Centre or whatever to go and spend my wages. She's fanning through all these wage slips, and she's talking to someone else, and she's fanning, and she goes, "Oh, here you go, Phil. Have a nice day, love. I'll see you in the morning. Thanks, Kath." So I'm on my way. So goes out into the car park, sits in the car. I put my key in the ignition, and then I thought, oh, actually, let's have a look how much I've got this month, because I'd had a good month, to be fair. I'd played in the reserves, so you get the reserve. I'd been doing well, so I thought, right, let's have a little look here. So as I've ripped the strip on the wage slip, and then I've ripped it was like a 3-way strip thing. You had to strip it.
Yeah.
So as I've stripped it and ripped it, I've pulled it up, and I've noticed all these, like, in my wage slip, it used to have maybe like 4 or 5 different, things, and then it'd have your tax and all this. This one had about 10, 15. So I was like, this. And then I looked at the net pay, and I was like, oh my God. So I've opened it. She's only gave me Roy Keane's wage slip. But obviously I've already opened it, and it's already ripped open. And I've looked, and I'm like, Champions League, how much? Clearance fees, and I'm like, oh my God. So I've gone, right, I have to go back in. So as I've gone back in, I'm walking down, and obviously Carrington, you can see through the glass panels, all glass. And Roy Keane stood at reception like this with his wash in the hand, like going like that to Kath. Come on, Kath, where's my wage slip? And Kath's like sweating, going through all the wage slips. Oh, I can't find it, Roy. So I've walked in, and I've sort of gone, hi, Kath. And she's gone, oh, you all right, Phil? I was like, no. I said, you give me the wrong wage slip, Kath. And she's gone, oh, it's not Roy's, is it? And I said, I've gone, oh, I don't know. And I pretended like I didn't know it was Roy's. So I've looked, I've gone, oh, yeah, it's Roy's. So, I'm sort of like, oh my God. And obviously it's open. So I've gone to Kath. Here, Kath, I think that's Roy's. And Roy's looked at the wage slip and gone, it's obviously ripped to shreds. So Kath's gone, oh, I'm really sorry. She went, it's my fault. I'm so sorry, Roy. Here's your wage slip. So then Roy, instead of like taking the wage slip and walking off and going, Roy's just took the wage slip and just stood waiting like that. And he's waiting at the side of the desk. And then Kath's obviously then fanning through these wage slips again to find my wage slip. So I'm waiting there going, oh my God, he's not left. He's still here. Still waiting. So Kath, oh, I'm so sorry, Phil. Honestly, my fault. Here's your wage slip. So I've got my wage slip, and I've just turned to walk away, and Keane's just put his arm straight around the back of me and gone, come on then, Phil, let's go. And he's squeezing me, and we're walking out. And we walk through the door. We're walking up the ramp a little bit, and he's gone, come on. I said, what do you mean? Come on. He went, did you have a look? I said, did you have a look? I was like, well, no, not really. He said, did you look? And I said, yeah, I did. I said, I knew straight away it weren't mine, Roy, and I've come straight back in. And then I'm like sweating, honestly. I was like, oh, and then he just burst out laughing, honestly. He burst out laughing. He said, oh God, he went, listen, I'm not bothered about all this. He said, look here, look at all this. He said, this is just part and parcel of, being a professional footballer. He said, I'm not here for this. He said, I'm here to win trophies. I'm here to, perform and be a part of this.
What a story.
And I was like, wow. I was like, that's unbelievable. And he said to me, he said, Marshy, listen. He said, if you keep working hard, he said, you'll be getting one of these wage slips one day. And he just sent me on my way. And I remember I went back into my car and I sat in my car for about half an hour. And I was just thinking, like, I cannot believe what's just happened. And, like, honestly, no one would have believed that, because I think
that's bizarre.
Depending on, obviously, the way that panned out, that could have ended in.
That could have been,
yeah. 100%.
Situation. But the way
it sounds like an episode from Ted Lasso. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly,
Roy in Ted Lasso.
I honestly couldn't like comprehend how it all happened. Because when he stayed and I seen how cross he looked with his arms folded, I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna get absolutely, thrilled here. He's gonna take me home with him and do all this at home and stuff. So. And then he did what he did, and it was just, honestly, it was brilliant. And to be honest, that epitomised Keane for me. I think with the way he sort of, especially with me. I mean, I've seen other sides of Roy, some of the younger players, and some of the younger players who was taking the mickey and wearing these flash boots and coming in like big flash cars. He's saying, listen, you need to obviously I'm saying it in a polite way, but he would be like, you need to stay in your lane and buckle down and stop getting all this flash gear, and we're here to play football.
He talks about a watch story, doesn't he, Phil? Did he get duped on a Rolex when he first joined the club? Was it? Yeah. Did he paid 1,100 quid and he paid 11 grand?
Yeah. Some of the stories, honestly, I mean, to be honest, I could sit here all night, and there's so many stories, different players, not just Keane. There's like so many stories that I've got about, a lot of the players, and it was such a good time to be at the club. As I say, I was so lucky to be able to mix with the likes of, them kind of players on a day-to-day basis. Now, I think it's a little bit. I went into Carrington last year, and it's a little bit disappointing for me that some of the younger players now don't get the opportunity to mix with the first team players, because it's all separate now. And I think for me, that was what made my time at the club so much better, and so much. You learn so much just from talking to some. Like, obviously, I was injured for a long time, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was injured at the same time as me. So me and Ole got really close because we was both out for the best part of the year, and we were both doing our rehabilitation together. And you're in each other's pockets, and you're in at the same times, and you're doing stuff, and you're in the gym. And to get so close with somebody who's obviously in the first team and at that level, as a young player, that kind of thing is invaluable, to be able to just pick their brains and watch what they do and watch how they portray themselves and how they go about the business. It was so good, and I think that's a trick that maybe the club. I understand with COVID and a lot of things changed and all that kind of stuff, but for me, some of them younger players now, it's a shame that they can't be mixing with some of the professionals, because you learn so many good things and the good habits that they get into, and the way they are as people, and how they take themselves so good and perform on a day-to-day basis. If you're in and around that and you're seeing it on a day-to-day basis, I think it's invaluable for some of the younger players, which unfortunately isn't the case at the moment.
And I'm afraid this is it. Thank you for watching. If you want to watch the full 2 hours podcast, the link is down here in the video description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up for this video, and we should see you to the next one. Glory, glory, Manchester United. Ciao. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on the socials.